Welcome to Paleo Bites, the podcast where the dinos stomp and we all have a romp. My name's Matthew Donald, and each episode I and a rotating set of guest co-hosts talk about and rate a genus of prehistoric animal, be it dinosaur, mammal, arthropod, and so on. This week I'm joined by the self-proclaimed, you person who does a lot of dark humor and bad jokes, as well as, some other things. She's known for a lot. She's a good person. Natasha Krech!
Oh, hello!
How are you doing this fine day?
Oh, today is absolutely lovely. 70 degrees, early November.
Yep.
Colorado, can't complain.
Yes. We are recording this in early November, but who knows when this will actually come out. I think it might be around December. In fact, we're theming this episode around the holidays, in a way, sort of. Not as explicitly as some other dinosaurs that I want to do later. This isn't a dinosaur, other prehistoric creature. I'm sorry, I'm spoiling it, but at the same time, it's in the title of the episode. Everyone knows what creature we're talking about. But before we talk about that, let's see. The holiday season is upon us. If you were Santa and you wanted help from a prehistoric creature for your workshop or for your duties or whatever, which prehistoric creature would you want and why?
Oh, so many prehistoric creatures can be so useful.
Yeah.
If I wanted sheer weightlifting capacity, I'm going with a sauropod.
All right, get all the lift all the toys up to Santa's sack.
Do all the heavy lifting, heck, even carry things around the workshop from one end to the other.
Yeah,
they're just straight up muscle mass.
Exactly. Although you would have to bundle them up because it's cold.
Although there have been shown to be some Arctic dinosaurs
That's
that
true.
could handle, so maybe some of them.
Mm-hmm. Once a Pachyrhinosaurus was considered very common up there in Alaska. In fact, I've seen some artwork depict it with feathers that kind of look like a muskox.
I've seen some of that as well, which is really interesting.
Hold on, I'm going to open the door because I heard the dog scratch at the door. Come in here, Henry.
Hi, pupper.
Yes, it is my dire wolf, Henry. Oh, no, he's just a mutt, whatever he is.
But shelter mutts are the best.
They are. He's so sweet, and he knows he's rescued. He's so sweet. He's like, thank you.
The real question is, who rescued who?
Oh, no. I saw that bumper sticker that was like that. That was it showed a paw print and it said, who rescued who? And I'm like, oh, that's sweet. But then my typical English major way, I was like, actually, it should be who rescued whom? I get the message and it's sweet, but come on, grammar.
Grammar's overrated when it comes to bumper stickers.
How dare you? Get out right now!
Oh, it's a bumper sticker.
Yeah,
and most Americans honestly can't read and do good grammar.
That's true. Or do good grammar, yeah. Case in point.
Oh, bad grammar, pun intended.
Oh, bad. Yeah, okay. Well, this isn't a grammar podcast. This isn't a writing podcast. I do have a writing podcast, but I can mention that at the end of the episode. No, this is a prehistoric creature podcast. Predominantly dinosaurs, but other things as well. And the one that we're doing is definitely not a dinosaur. It is, in fact, a deer. Megaloceros, or Ceros. It means giant horn. It's also known as the Irish elk.
Yes.
It is a deer. It is 7 feet at the shoulder, or 2.2 meters. Its antlers are lone, can be up to 12 feet long.
I mean, really putting a moose to shame there.
Right.
I've seen them up close.
Yeah, 3.8 meters. You've seen moose up close?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Recently, a few months ago.
Oh, nice. When you were exploring that abandoned factory? Or
No, actually, that was on a different explorer. I was exploring outside of Nederland, Colorado.
Oh, wow.
Me and my buddy were driving up to this hiking spot. I was driving, at the time, my little red car. All of a sudden, I see this moose galloping down the road.
Oh,
big, full-grown
galloping?
bull.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh, they can gallop. Anyway, I see this moose. We automatically drop our speed. It stops. We stop. The car goes into park. It actually did give us the classic moose death glare. It looked over its shoulder.
It was a staring contest.
To say the least,
it was like a hold-up, a Mexican standoff sort of thing.
Yeah, but the moose would have won. Even against my little car, a full-grown bull weighs easily 2,000 pounds. And let's not even throw in those antlers.
Right, and speaking of weight, the Megaloceros, it's slightly smaller, less, it's not as heavy as a moose. It's at either 1,200 to 1,500 pounds or 550 to 700 kilograms. It was an herbivore, as, deer are. Particularly a browser, predominantly. It lived in the middle Pleistocene to the early Holocene, so 400,000 to 750 No, sorry. 400,000 to 7,500 years ago. So it was pretty recent, this one.
Yeah, our ancestors would have encountered it.
Absolutely. It is located in Ireland, hence the common nickname Irish Elk, although it's also found all across Europe, too.
An interesting point, it's actually on the coat of arms for Northern Ireland.
I have that mentioned here in the pop culture appearances section. It was described in 1799, and other pop culture appearances as well as being in the coat of arms in Northern Ireland. It was on Walking with Prehistoric Beasts, and it was in the Ice Age series from The Meltdown onwards. So,
I lost track of that series of movies after the second one, I think?
It got a bit silly at the end, just a bit.
Yeah, a bit.
Like the final one, the collision course one, it goes off the rails.
Oh boy! So it's clearly a kids' movie.
Well, yeah, but like the Scrat
their own.
finds a spaceship in the beginning of that one.
Oh dear!
And like goes out into space and accidentally sends like a purple asteroid towards the Earth with like purple energy on it and crazy stuff. And it has some fun with some sci-fi tropes, because, you see the antics of the squirrel at random parts. It cuts away to that. One of them is that he has he messes with the ship's anti-gravity or gravity or gravity stuff. So at first he floats around, but then he accidentally presses a button, and it goes like gravity of Jupiter.
Oh no!
And then he's just weighing down, and then the acorn rolls towards him. He's like tries to crawl away. Sorry, I'm letting the dog out. So the acorn rolls towards him, tries to roll away, and the acorn suddenly rolls over him, and since it's Jupiter gravity, it weighs like 100 pounds. And
so in other words, we need a series called Scrap in Space.
Yeah, I mean, there already was in that one, but like the rest of that movie, like it's all ridiculous, but I did like the scrap parts. Those are always the best parts. Yeah, so Megaloceros, not to be confused with Megaloceros with an A, which I made this part when I was confused about this, because I googled Megaloceros, which spells at the end Ceras, and found out that it is a type of nautiloid mollusk from the Silurian period.
Oh my!
Megaloceros, R-O-S at the end, is one of the largest deer that ever lived, comparable to the Alaskan moose, as we mentioned, which I think is the biggest moose.
That makes sense. They've got better habitat up there than they do in Colorado, and they were only recently introduced in the past 30 to 40 years.
Really? To Alaska? They weren't native there before?
No, they were reintroduced to Colorado.
Oh.
It was another initiative, and they've become quite successful out here.
Nice. I remember traveling to the mountains, I've seen a couple moose.
Yeah.
A couple meese. I don't know.
It is moose in the plural.
No, I know. It's just kind of silly. So we brought up this animal because the holidays are near, and so we thought we'd celebrate here at Paleo Bites. We're talking about the closest prehistoric animal to reindeer that's worth talking about.
Yeah, imagine a bunch of these trying to pull Santa's sleigh.
They wouldn't have to be in pairs, because the two up front their antlers would just clash.
Would get interlocked.
Yeah, Rudolph would be fine up there with his glowing nose and his antlers all by himself. But
let's be honest, if I was Santa, I would deck those horns out with extra lights.
Oh, that's true! That sounds great! Get into the Christmas spirit.
Extra lights on the horns of these magnificent beasts.
Yeah, exactly. Rudolph has has the idea, right? We gotta deck them all out. Overshadow Rudolph even more.
I mean, why not?
Right.
We're all sick of that carol at this point. Somebody please write something new.
I mean, basically, the moral of that story is like, if you have a defect, you will get mocked for it unless your defect is useful in some way.
Which, in and of itself, is really messed up, especially in today's culture.
A bit problematic, wouldn't you say?
Yes, especially in this culture today.
Yeah, exactly. While most fossils of this giant deer have been found in specific bogs in Ireland, there's evidence of it throughout Europe, and also it's apparently not closely related to elk either, so the common nickname Irish elk is all kinds of inaccurate, it seems.
But it seems their habitats are actually similar, because you are likely to find modern elk in swampy areas.
Makes sense. Its most notable feature, of course, are its giant-ass antlers, as we mentioned, and sometimes they weigh up to 88 pounds, just the antlers.
I can't imagine carrying around 88 pounds on my head.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if it's a deer head, so it's kind of little.
Yeah, all things considered.
But the real question is why? Why are these antlers so big? What's it compensating for, huh? like most deer, I think it's pretty much assumed that the females had no antlers. It's just the males that had them.
In most cases, that is
reindeer.
Correct. Reindeer are weird.
Yeah.
Reindeer, I'm sorry, but Santa's reindeer, they're all female.
Yeah, because the males shed their antlers in the winter, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
So, Rudolph and the gang, Santa was being hauled around by a bunch of female reindeer.
Well, I guess in that instance, if it's like that... Wait, no, never mind. I was going to say they'd be fine with the antlers, but then we just said that, no, the antler's different. So, but if they were female Megaloceros instead of male reindeer, then I guess they'd be fine.
Now, elk, on the other hand, while not related, don't drop their antlers. Actually, let me double check that. Double check that.
Yeah. We'll make sure we're scientifically accurate here on Paleobites. This dumb dino show. While she's doing that, many theories have been proposed as to why Megaloceros had. Oh, yes, we have a dog down there. I don't know if you could hear that. Why the elk or Irish elk, except not elk, why their antlers were so big, such as the males using them to fight over the females.
So it turns out that elk do shed antlers.
Okay, good to know. We want to make sure we're scientifically accurate and our research is all verified here on this serious show. Anyways, but it turns out that these antlers are not very well suited for combat. Like, they could really splinter and shatter, and also, like the way they'd lug them around, it wouldn't be smart to just kind of smash them together like what people would assume.
Mm-hmm. Based on what I'm looking at with a lot of modern deer, including moose, because I had to double check.
Yeah.
They might have shed their antlers, but I don't know if there's proof of this.
Oh, that'd be a heck of a relief for them. They'd be like, oh, thank God. All this weight, this 88 pounds is just off my head.
It turns out the moose shed their antlers as well, and those things weigh quite a bit the bigger the moose.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think it's funny that deer, the male and female, are called buck and doe, but for moose, it's bull and cow.
That actually applies to elk as well, by the way.
Really? Okay.
Uh-huh.
So it's just the smaller, daintier deer that are does and bucks, yeah.
Yeah, or if you're looking to use more poetic language. If you're looking to use more poetic language, buck and doe sound better.
Right.
But if you look at, say, Colorado Division of Wildlife, you will also see bull and cow interchangeable with many species.
Right. Sorry if you can hear the dog barking down there. I don't know if the microphone's picking it up, but I don't know what he's going crazy down there. That's okay. I guess it makes the show more endearing. It's like
pun intended, right?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Good job. Okay. Anyways, the most commonly accepted theory, though, for Megaloceros, in terms of its elk, in terms of its antlers, I can talk, guys, is that they were used the males used them to intimidate rivals and impress females.
That is such a common trait in the animal world for a lot of seemingly unnecessary features.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, the thing with most of these features that are such as this that are used for mating purposes is that they continue to increase in size because the ones with the biggest of them tend to be the ones that breed, and therefore those genes are the ones that carry on. Like, in a related note, I remember seeing a scientific article that posed the question of why humans are the only mammals with prominent breasts, even when they're not nursing. But to me, the answer is obvious.
I mean, you really don't have to think that
Like,
far.
It's not really scientific. Like, most men tend to like women with bigger boobs.
Yes.
Thus, they tend to have sex with them more, and thus the big boob gene is passed on throughout the generations.
Even with our closest modern relatives, they don't have as prominent.
Right, even then they only come out, like, when they have babies to nurse,
exactly.
Usually. So... But yeah, so I bet you didn't expect this kind of talk to be mentioned in the paleontological podcast with the episode about deer, right?
I mean, they are mammals. We're mammals.
Yeah, exactly.
Why not throw in a few jokes on the side?
A little bit of subtle sort of adult stuff. Anyways.
We don't have any filters, unlike Disney.
Yeah, exactly. God. Yeah, can you imagine Bambi, but with Megaloceros? I don't remember Bambi, so I wouldn't know. It's not the one where the deer doesn't get drunk. That's Dumbo.
No.
Okay.
That's another one, actually, with all the silly modern wildlife movies.
Yeah.
There's been one or two where a deer has legitimately gotten drunk. No, Bambi's just a sad story.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, the mother gets shot.
Yes.
And
then Bambi grows into the prince of the forest, supposed to be a happy ending.
Right. I mean, does he does he still hang out with Thumper? I remember that was when he was a baby.
I think that's in the sequels.
Okay.
Where you...
Well, the sequel, it's a midquel, right? The
sequel, midquel...
Because I think it's still when he's a younger one in the...
I think there's another one where he's older, and we actually see him as a full-grown, as it turns out, elk.
Right. Oh, he is an elk. He's not a deer.
He is.
Okay.
He's an elk. You look at the antler formation, Bambi's an elk, without question.
Really? Interesting.
Beautiful animals.
Yeah, no, they are. And you know that the Bambi sequel set a record for the longest time between installments of a series? 64 years in between chapter 1 and 2.
Bambi didn't need a sequel.
No, but it was in that time where Disney was releasing sequels to all their old movies.
They're still doing that.
They're not as much anymore.
No. Now
they're more theatrical, like Frozen 2 and Wreck-It Ralph 2, but they're not like the direct-to-video ones we used to have.
Yeah, or they're all remakes.
No,
I mean, come on, were some of these remakes necessary, Disney?
Yeah, Lion King wasn't even a remake. It was a remake, but it was just word for word.
I literally have not seen that.
I've only seen parts of it, and there's nothing different, except that it's 30% longer.
Oh,
and they just stretch out scenes.
Is there music any good?
No, because also the animals don't emote.
Oh, great.
Which I think is dumb. They're like, we want it to be realistic so that we don't... didn't you see Narnia? They made that lion look emote.
Aslan emoted beautifully.
Yeah, exactly. So don't give me that crap.
And he looked pretty realistic when they needed a realistic-looking lion.
Anyways, Megaloceros. Okay.
Movie tangents, right?
Right, exactly. Yes, as you were mentioning earlier, modern humans and Megaloceros did coincide, and they interacted with each other quite a bit. There's evidence of hunting and cave painting that splendidly shows a relationship with these giant deer. It's assumed, though, that a combination of overhunting and climate change after the Ice Age ended is what finally drove these magnificent creatures to extinction.
Tragic, really.
Making them yet another sad example how we kill hordes of wondrous species with our destructive actions. Anyways, Merry Christmas, everybody! So now it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show. Maybe, I don't know, I think it is. It's certainly my favorite. Actually, no, it's all my favorite. We rate the animal 1 out of 65 million, for whatever reason we like. I mean, in terms of sexiness, as we've mentioned before, those antlers. Whoa.
Those antlers, yeah.
Oh, man.
Imagine being a modern person to find one of those sheds in the forest.
Right. You know what? I'm sure they'd be really good company at a stag party. Anyways. I don't know, it was pretty good. I like deer. I'm going to give it like a 60 million. I think it's pretty dang good.
They are amazing creatures. I can only imagine finding one in the forests of North America.
Yeah.
They would be a magnificent creature.
Oh, man.
Utterly terrifying.
Oh, yeah, no, wolves would be like, what is this thing?
Utterly terrifying, but at the same time, absolutely magnificent.
Nice. So what would you rate it?
I'm going to give it a 62 million.
Oh, yeah, it's a little bit higher. Almost perfect, but not quite.
They're almost perfect. I mean, imagine something that size.
If it was like a long neck sized, just a giant deer, then it'd be perfect.
Well, now we're starting to touch into the territory of Welcome to Night Vale.
Oh, right. Or it's one of those
long-legged, three-eyed flying deer wolf.
What is this craziness? Is this an anime?
No, it's its own podcast of insanity. If you like the Twilight Zone.
Oh, okay, good to hear.
And you like darker humor.
Okay, I could go for some darker humor.
Then Welcome to Night Vale is your podcast.
Of course. Well, welcome to and goodbye from Paleobites. If you want to get a hold of the show, you can email us at mattsd@mathedoncreator.com. You can find me on social media at mathedoncreator on Facebook, at mathedon64 on Twitter, and mathedon64 on Instagram. You can contact me, you can contact Natasha, you can contact any of the previous guest co-hosts. We're welcome to answer most of your questions. So, also, I have a podcast about writing, which I think I mentioned earlier. Was that this episode where I mentioned it?
I think you may have.
Oh, because the grammar thing, yeah.
The grammar.
Yes, I have another podcast about writing called The Writ Wit, where two twits, me and some other doofus, talk about writing. It's my best friend. I shouldn't be so down on him.
Well, we all call each other doofus.
And it's true. Finally, if you like reading, I have a book series on Amazon called Megazoic. It's a dinosaur sci-fi, so that's pretty neat, right? Available on Amazon for print and Kindle. I'm pretty happy with it. It's my baby. And Natasha here did the illustrations for it, so they're pretty neat. You check out her artwork, check out my words.
They're art.
It's all art, right? Anyway,
Two different mediums.
Indeed. All right. Well, that's it for this episode. And as we say here at the end of every episode, what does a deer make? It makes the sound of a tweeting bird. Got it.
No, I'm looking for something fun. We're going to see if we can get an elk bugle for you. Because that's as close as we're going to get.
I like that.
No. So while I'm trying to look for this sound,
Yes.
I've got a funny story about an elk.
Oh, okay. Last minute thing in the podcast. Last minute
Camp
edition.
counselor years.
Yes.
It was about 4 a.m. We were all sleeping, or so we thought.
I like how you're using the video as ambiance.
And all of a sudden, an elk starts bugling at whatever awful hour. It was
Yeah.
pitch dark. These poor kids had never heard an elk bugle.
Oh no.
Being that they are a very high-pitched noise.
See if we can find it.
Here,
I'll try and look for it too. That's an advertisement.
Ad.
Elk bugle.
No, that's another ad. No, I don't want the ad. But anyway, that is the elk bugle.
That's terrifying.
Imagine that at 4 a.m.
I would think it was a ghost.
Yeah, these poor kids. 6 of them dive into a 3-man tent. Meanwhile, those counselors, stupid elk, and try to go back to sleep.
That's crazy. All right. Well, anyway, so I guess what we say at the end of every episode.